So elements of distribution. I like to kind of set the stage and talk about just the business because I think it contextualizes where we are in terms of uh, where we are in terms of distribution. We want to remember that content, whatever it is a commodity, right? And we think about things like feature versus episodic channels of distribution. Um, so the film that you're making is a commodity. It's no different than, say, a widget or a car. There's the old adage that Hollywood is Hollywood is manufacturing with sex appeal, and we have to remember that what we are doing is developing, producing, and ultimately distributing a commodity. So any approach that you have to this, I think, should be inflected by a degree of a commercial sensibility. It is a commercial art. I think films work best when they are the intersection of art and commerce. But as independent filmmakers, you certainly should be, arming yourself and equipping yourself as you move into what is right now a very kind of tenuous situation, especially in the independent sector. And there are certainly ways that you can mitigate the risk, that you can seek out your audience. And this is why I wanted Katie to come in and talk to you guys. And one of the easiest ways to do that is running your own, say, Facebook campaign to start building a following. And this is a value add that you can bring to any distributor. But it will give you the power to set a narrative about your film, as well as to create greater awareness in the market. And this can all be done very effectively and very easily. But I think it's good to have a strong nuts and bolts kind of basis in this. And it's something that you guys can start right away. And I think that any filmmaker needs to be active. Gone are the days where you can just be purely a creative producer. The good producers are wearing many hats and having a thorough knowledge of not just the production process and the creative development component, but also distribution, financing, and marketing. And the more tools I think you equip yourselves with, the better you will stand. So I'm also looking forward to hearing Katie, and I think she's got a lot of great information. Um, so it's a manufacturing sector, right? So we're talking about getting that commodity out into the marketplace, producing, creating a commodity, and getting it out. And this requires a supply chain. And most of you are in business, so I don't want to belabor these points, as you most likely already know a lot of what I'm talking about. But it is the sequence involved in the production and distribution of a commodity, right? So the supply chain in the entertainment industry is going to be in development, production, distribution, and then even on the tail end as an extension of distribution is exhibition. And I'm going to have a little slide that's going to give you just a general sense of what that supply chain looks like. So like we said, the elements of the production entertainment supply chain: production, distribution, exhibition. And these are all stages, and quite frankly, all stages that you can be marketing, that you can be reaching out to your consumer, right, to your client, to your target audience. And you can even start right in the pre-production phase with marketing your film. And the longer you're generating, you're building that audience, the better. And if you ultimately go the route of, say, some form of self-releasing, or if you are going through a traditional distributor, these are all kind of arrows in your quiver. So there are also a number of different sectors that are servicing that supply chain. Things like business affairs, legal representation, lenders, investors, and other miscellaneous personnel. So it is an expansive industry that is not just confined, right, to the production of content. I highly recommend that people pick up a copy of the book. It's very, very dry. You'll probably give your brain a paper cut reading it, but it's called The Biz by Skylar Moore, and it's the basic legal financial aspects of the entertainment industry. Most people have a copy of it on their desk. I have used it and found it to be an invaluable reference point. It is fairly up to date, but once again, I highly recommend that to add to your collection. So the concept of Hollywood, it's a global network, right? Industrial hubs, personnel, distribution channels that really has no geographic location. So it's kind of ironic that we consistently refer to Hollywood when in truth, if we're trailing kind of the sources of financing, how things are being distributed, where they're being distributed, where talent, where story, where IP is being sourced, it is a global network. So we want to think globally, global audience, but also as you're approaching any kind of distribution agreement. Getting it out in the US is great, but now as globalization is proceeding, we're seeing anywhere from 60 to 70% of the film's overall revenue coming from overseas, right? There are some great resources out there. If you get a chance to get onto the IFTA website, they have rundowns of the different markets around the world, reports on disparate territories. The MPAA every year publishes an overall report on the state of the industry. Obviously, the one from last year might be just a little bit out of date, but still provides a lot of great baseline information. And they should be putting out another one. The next theme report should come out in January, February of next year, and it will be fascinating to see what the impact of kind of the current crisis has had on the industry. So just to give you, this is just a general sense, and once again, talking about the understanding and thinking globally about your content. So when you're building your content, thinking, okay, great, this has playability in the United States, but is this something that's going to play in the UK? Is this something that's going to play in Germany? Is it going to play in the CIS? Is it going to play in Southeast Asia, right? And all those different territories. And that is a lot of that, right, is to obviously, if your story is focused here in the U.S., that's fantastic. But also to remember, and maybe this is me wearing my cynical distributor's cap, that you are then limiting your audience. But then again, look, the universal is in the particular. So I think kind of the more we focus on our experiences, the more honest we are with our experiences, I think it opens up a path to universality. But that's just kind of my my thoughts on that.